One of the big yearly television events is almost here. The 85th Academy Awards, the Oscars, will take place on Sunday, February 24th. And I've only seen like 2 or 3 movies this year. Tops. Luckily, there's someone here today who can help us out with this. Joining me on Game On is the founder of Criticize This and a juror on the Toronto International Film Festival. Brian McKechnie is on the show today. Brian, how are you doing today?
Good, thanks. Thanks for having me.
Oh, you're very welcome. Now, Brian, I'll admit it, I haven't really kept up on many of the movies released this year. What do you think of this year's crop of Oscar nominees?
I think for the most part, there's some pretty good ones. Argo is the one I think is going to take it for Best Picture. Zero Dark 30 is another really great film about Osama bin Laden being captured that Catherine Bigelow did. And that's another one that's giving some strong go at the box office and some strong go at the award season. And, of course, Steven Spielberg's Lincoln is up there. So those are the big 3 to watch, I think, at Sunday night in the Oscars.
Right, and there are a couple of big names that I have heard of, like Django Unchained, Les Mis, The Hobbit, Amour. Out of those, what movie do you think is going to have the biggest splash at this year's ceremony?
I still think it's going to be Argo, even though it wasn't nominated for Best Director or any of the acting awards. Really, there was a few here and there for them. But I think Ben Affleck's been going strong with it, and I think it's going to take Best Picture.
Okay, now one of the hot films on the list this year that I did actually get a chance to see was The Life of Pi. It's a great translation from book to silver screen, and I guess what's your thoughts on how well this movie will fare?
It's one of the top nominated films at the Oscars, and there's a nice Canadian connection. It's based on a Canadian book, of course. I really enjoyed the film. I thought the special effects were great, and I think it's going to clean up in the technical categories that it's nominated in. In the big picture categories, I don't think it's going to do too well because not too many people have, followed the film, and at the other award ceremonies leading up to the Oscars, it hasn't really done anything like Argo or Les Mis or Silver Linings Playbook has. But, I really do hope to see it get a few. It's been nominated, I think, for about 8 or 9 awards, so hopefully it takes home something.
Now, Game and Train, we're all about gaming and fitness, and I'm scanning through the list of films nominated for an award this year, and there seems to be no video game movies at all. I guess, why do you think that is?
Thinking back on 2012, I think the only big video games movies we had was the new Resident Evil and Silent Hill, and both of them were terrible, so that could be why.
I'd say that's a pretty good reason. And the funny thing about that is, at the same time, there's movies like Wreck-It Ralph, which is based on video game themes, and it's nominated for the Best Animated Feature category. What do you think modern video game movies can learn from a movie like Wreck-It Ralph?
Well, I think with Wreck-It Ralph, the thing that sold that was, people like the characters. Everybody loves retro gaming characters, too. And they told a really good story. And, that was kind of the best of both worlds because it felt like a video game a lot of the times, but it was just a really good animated film. And personally, I hope it takes home the animated Oscar as well. That or Brave, both of them really good, but I really like Wreck-It Ralph.
Now, for those of us looking to get into the spirit of the Oscars, Netflix has a list of Oscar winners available for viewers of their service. What's some of your favorite flicks to choose from this list?
Netflix does have a lot of older Oscar-winning films, and I think some of them, a lot of people have seen, obviously. Pulp Fiction and Glorious Bastards, Quentin Tarantino movies are top of my list, of course. Social Network is on there, which is, I think 2 years ago or last year, I can't remember, but it took home the Oscar. The Descendants with George Clooney, that was another great movie, recent movie that is on there that I think a lot of people enjoyed, and I think it was one of the ones that, awards gave them awards and the public actually enjoyed the movie, so that's kind of a big difference with a lot of the Oscar-winning movies. Lost in Translation's on there, Rango, another animated film, Hurt Locker, of course, talking about Zero Dark 30, it's Catherine Bigelow's other war film that she's made, Braveheart, Monster. There's a lot of, films in there. Ray, that's another great one. Lost in Translation. So there is a lot to choose from, and, it is kind of a wide variety of films on there to select from.
Sounds good, Brian. It's been great speaking with you. If people want to know more about you and your work, where should they go?
They can check us out on criticizethis.ca.
Very cool. Brian, looking forward to seeing the Oscars this year. I'm assuming you're looking forward to it as well. So I'm sure we'll enjoy a good time on Sunday.
Thank you. You too. It'll be fun. I'll be tweeting it, so it should be fun.
Brian, a pleasure having you on Game On today.
Thanks for having me.
That was Brian McKechnie, the founder of Criticize This and a juror at the Toronto International Film Festival. I'm Jeff Johnson. You're listening to Game On.